It's that time of year. It is May 6th, 2022, one day before the Kentucky Derby. We're going to do our Derby preview in this video, but first, I'm going to give ourselves a shameless plug. For information on astrological horse race handicapping, you can go to ice or cosmoeconomics.com. You can find information about the book The Clairvoyance Window, An Astrologer's Key to Parimutuel Success. Or you can go to our website. This is Ken and I's website. It's the Perfect Storm Trading site. You can get more information on the Clairvoyance Window book on that page. You can also get information on our trading book and our trading indicators. So in today's video, I'm going to cover the Derby using conventional handicapping and also astrological handicapping. We're going to go through the BRIS summary sheet and the past performances. We're going to take a look at my favorite pace handicapping software, which is RDSS. I'm also going to take a look at the top four factor method. We're going to look at the recent trends in BRISnet and buyer figures. I'm going to also point out a couple of form negatives that are going to wipe a couple of contenders out for me. We're going to take a look at the astrological setup, what we have. We're going to take a look at any key aspects. We're going to take a look at rulership and its effect. We have another unique factor that Ken found years back that has to do with horses that have the same birth date in a race. And we're going to look at any potential Arabic part negatives, which I'll explain when we get there. So with that being said, let's begin. Okay, let's start out with the BRIS race summary, BRISnet ultimate past performance summary. What you can see, you got the horses here. They're ranked by their average distance, surface, pace, and speed figures. So generally what you're seeing here, the top 6, 7 are the most likely winners, or the horses that most of the people are talking about outside of Tiz the Bomb. Tiz the Bomb ranks pretty high in here, and I have him as a long shot contender. But what we want to think about when looking at this just gives us a really quick short synopsis of the likely contenders at the top of the list. Notice here that number 12 Taiba and number 6 Messier have the top early pace figures. They're in triple digits early and triple digits late, and they're the only two that have shown that capability. That Santa Anita Derby, which both of these were in there, ran 1-2. That was a strong race, might be the strongest prep this year. Number 12 Taiba is a really nice horse, and so is number 6 Messier, but they do not have the astrological factors that I normally like to see. And there's a form negative on Taiba, but number 6 Messier, strong contender. Mo Donegal out of the Wood Memorial. It's a really nice horse, but a negative with him, which I'll get into in a little bit. Epicenter, Zandon, the top two morning line favorites, obviously logical contenders with different running styles. And then a long shot horse, two long shot horses I like actually, Smile Happy and Zozos. So what you want to get in this race, you want the horse that has a potential to run fast early and late with a slight bias to the late side, because a horse that can run a little bit sustained late is a horse that's going to win this race historically. And what you're going to find if you look at the historical trends on the Derby, when you look at this race at the 1 mile mark, which is the top of the stretch here in Kentucky, the winners in recent years, they have to be within 2 lengths of the leader with a quarter mile left, or they're not likely going to win the race. The last time we had a deep closer win this race was Orb in the mud about, I guess was about 10 years ago maybe. I think that might have been 2013. 2013, I think, the year that Orb won. Last time somebody came from off the pace and ran down horses. We're going to get a potential muddy track tomorrow, but again, generally when they get the rain there, they seal the track, and that definitely favors the front runners more often than not. I'm flipping over to my RDSS screen here. This is the RX screen. So what you see here uh, on my RX3, the horses are ranked by the top RX3 factor here, and that gives me the 12, 10, 5, 1, 3, 8, and then 15 right behind there. So we're looking at Taiba, Zandon, Smile Happy, Mo Donegal, Epicenter, Charge It, White Abarrio, and Messier. Very similar to the list on the Brisk summary page, which I had just shown, other than White Abarrio was not in that mix, but he was just under this group in that. So what you're looking at here is what you're going to find that in normal racing, horses in the top four here are going to win about 85% of the time. The Derby is kind of a unique situation, so that doesn't necessarily hold true in this race. A little bit on handicapping the Derby using Sarton style software like this. This program, Racing Decision Support System, you can find this at paceandcap.com. You can contact the developer, Ted Craven, to get more information on this. But based on what Howard Sarton had said years ago when handicapping the Derby, you want to look for horses that ran in a grade 1 or grade 2 9 furlong race, finished first or second, and that's generally going to be in the last two running lines. So you can see I've selected all their best races were in their last running line, which was line number 1 right here at the upper left where I'm circling my mouse arrow. You can see it's all line 1 for everybody except for Ethereal and Pioneer. So that's the rankings that we have from RDSS. Very similar to Brisk. Okay, now what you see on the screen is my zoomed in Excel. This is the four-factor method from Pace and Cap. This was devised by Richard Matthey, the late Richard Matthey, who was a fine gentleman and handicapper. He put this method together using the factors from RDSS and then the Brisk Prime Power, which is the BPP, and the PL, which is the profit line numbers. It's a ranking of horses by an odds line called Profit Line. This is available for free on the TwinSpires betting app. You can see that. So what I'm going to do here is, since the rankings for VDC and CSR were the same, I've listed the top 5 horses in order: 1, 10, 5, 12, and 3. So the VDC is velocity deceleration. That's the ultimate ranking in the RDSS software. And the CSR is a composite speed rating number. Oftentimes these rankings will be different. It just so happened that in this race the rankings coincided, so I've just put them in to one column combined rather than listing them separately. These are the rankings on the Brisk Prime Power in column D here. The rankings are 6, 13, 15, 1, 10. And then the profit line numbers are in column E. Their rankings were 1, 6, 3, 10, and 12. Okay, so what we have here, first of all, we want to look for the horses that figure to have all 4 rankings. And only 2 of those did, the 1 and the 10. That's Mo Donegal and the 10 Zandon. And then we have 2 more horses that have 3 of the 4 rankings. That's the 3 Epicenter and the 12 Taiba. So I've got those guys listed over here. And so those are our top 4. And then we're left with the 5, 13, and the 15. The 5 being Smile Happy, and then Simplicity and White Abarrio. So the top 4 horses with this method would be the 110, 3, and 12. So that would help us to cull our contenders a bit there. So let's move on to our next handicapping segment. Now the last conventional handicapping trend that I'm going to look at here as far as the Derby goes, there was an article in Horse Racing Nation. Someone had put in there that over the last X amount of years, that a horse who had a brisk speed figure 100 or higher, or a buyer at 95 or higher, had won something like 27 of the last 30 derbies. Or that was at least the case for the buyer. For the brisk number, it was like the last 18 of 21 or something like that. Anyhow, that particular trend gives us this group of horses: the 6 Messier, the 12 Taiba, the 3 Epicenter, the 10 Zandon, and the 13 Simplification. Now, of this group, I'm going to drop Simplification out of the win hole, and I don't think he really qualifies on this particular trend, and I'm going to show you why that is. Let me bring the PP in here. Okay, here's Simplification, number 13 here. You can see his 100 number was put in last fall in October when he won his second lifetime start in a state-bred maiden race when he ran that 103 here. So this did not come in the last couple of races in one of these graded races, and that's really where we want to see this. If we look at the other guys that we're considering here, Taiba ran 100 and 111 in his only 2 races. The 10 horse Zandon ran it in his last race in the Bluegrass. And then the 6 Messier has put 3 hundreds together. And then number 3 Epicenter ran a 101 in his last race there when he won the Louisiana Derby. Okay, so I'm leaving Simplicity out of that list. So what does that do here? So if I take Simplicity out and eliminate him, I basically have 3 of the 4 horses from the prior list I gave you, and Messier was also in that list in the 3rd tier of horses, and that would allow me to bring in the number 1 horse who didn't qualify there, Mo Donegal. So that would be this would be my final contender group for win. So I changed those rankings out a touch. So these are the horses that I'm considering for the win. But there are a couple in here that I'm not really in love with because they have there's a couple of negative form factors in play here, and I'm going to show you what those are. The 2 horses that I'm talking about are number 1 Mo Donegal and number 12 Taiba. So let's look at Taiba first. Now the thing here with him is, first of all, let me say that I think the 2 best horses in this race are number 6 Messier and number 12 Taiba out of that Santa Anita Derby. And I prefer Messier more in this race than I do Taiba. What happened in the Derby in Santa Anita, that Messier was chasing a really hot pace and finished very strong, only to be caught at the end by Taiba. Taiba had a nice stalking trip in the catbird seat and was able to take advantage of that pace. But the big negative, I love Taiba going forward, but the big negative with him for winning this Derby is that no horse has ever won this off 2 lifetime starts. I think the only one that did was in 1883, a horse named Liege. So that's the one big strike against Taiba. Of course, we all know that all these trends are going to be broken, but in this particular case, until this trend is broken, I'm not going to be the one who's going to call it for today to be the day that this trend is going to break. So let's move to Mo Donegal. Okay, here's Mo Donegal. There's a couple things that are negative for him, what he's got going. Just about everybody who bets the Kentucky Derby knows that the 2 inside posts are horrible. Mo Donegal and Happy Jack, both late running horses, and Mo Donegal is not a horse that seems to break well from the gate. And what happens here in the Derby, with that tilted starting gate, the 1 horse gets pushed behind because when the gates open, everybody breaks out and starts pushing over to try to get to the rail or as close to the rail as they can. And even though Mo Donegal is a late runner, he's going to get pushed probably to the very back of the pack, and he's going to have to pass 19 other horses to be able to win this race. So that's reason number one. The second reason is when horses make this type of a speed figure jump, they often have what's termed in the horse racing vernacular as a bounce, or they're going to regress. He's going to have a bounce race here most likely because he's gone from running a 92. You can see his last second, third, fourth race back, he was very consistent running 91, 92, 93. In the Wood Memorial, he ran a 111. No horse since Funnyside in 2003 has won coming out of the Wood. A lot of people think this wasn't a very good race. I'm not saying that. I think this race was good, but I think that the position that Mo finds himself in is not good because of the post position and the chance that he's going to get pinched and he's going to be all the way back. And along with this huge 19-point increase in the speed figure is going to be a key factor for him to throw in a bounce race in the Derby. Okay, so that's the end of the conventional handicappers. Now let me give you a little bit of the astro that's going on in this race. Okay, here's the chart wheel for the time of the end of the race of the Kentucky Derby. If it goes on time at 1857, it's going to end around 1859 in a couple of seconds. So here's what we have. Taking a look at this chart wheel, what I like to do, one of the things I like to do is aspect the planets. We always want to consider the horse's natal sun, Mars, and moon. So what we're looking at here, one of the key aspects that's taking place in this race is the position of Jupiter here at 29 Pisces. So we want to look and see if there is any horse born at the 29 Pisces degree, because that particular horse, the Jupiter Sun aspect is a strong aspect, and that particular horse is going to have a strong chance to perform well. The other one we would look at would be the Mars aspect. There is a Mars aspect horse in here, but I don't think that horse has the talent to win this race. You can see that we do not have planets on the cardinal or any of the key money house cusps to take into consideration. The moon is the primary factor on the midheaven, but it's just past the midheaven by a couple of degrees and out of orb there really for being a primary factor. But this is going to be a factor on a couple of horses. So that is the chart. Let's take a look and see what we have that's hitting that Jupiter point at 29 Pisces. So here's a list of horses. Here's what we've got going here. Now that 29 Pisces area would be the date of about 3/19, March 19th. So we have two horses within 1 degree of that, born on 3/18, and that is number 15, White Abarrio, and number 19, Zozos. Now White Abarrio has a decent chance to win this race, so he would be a potential long shot play. If you're looking for a long shot, White Abarrio is a good one, and number 5, Smile Happy, is my other win long shot candidate. For a horse to hit the board second, third, or fourth, Zozos is a prime example of that, so that is key. There's another factor in play here. Anytime we have two horses born on the same date entered in the Derby, those horses have a chance to finish first and third or fourth, or second and third and fourth. Now it's strange. They've never run 1-2. They generally run 1, 3, or 4, or 2 or 4. So if you're looking for that as an angler to cut tickets down, that's one way to do that. And there's another pair of horses in here born on the same date, and that is number 10, Zandon, born on 3/21, with number 18, Tawny Port, born on 3/21. Now 18 Tawny is not one of my horses, but if you like Zandon, then you might want to include number 18 Tawny on your tickets because if Zandon wins, there's a good chance that Tawny is going to be in there running third or fourth with him. So that's another angle. That's an angle that Ken came up with. My research partner and co-writer on the Perfect Storm book has come up with this in the past. Now I'm going to take a look at rulership. There's another angle that Ken had come up on some years back, and took a look back at like 20 some years of the Derby and found out that when a planet's in its own sign, I'm not going to give you the whole gist of this, I'm going to give you a little bit of it though. A planet in its own sign, that horse who was born in that sign had a strong chance to win that race. So what we have going here is we have Saturn in Aquarius, and Saturn rules Aquarius, so we want to look for the Saturn horses. And then of course we have Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces and Neptune the modern ruler. So we want to look for Jupiter Pisces horses. There's other parts to this angle, but I'm only publicly going to give out this first part. And because this is really the only part in play in this particular race today. Now with that in mind, I'm going to go back to that last Excel sheet. So now here are the horses again, and what we're looking at, we want to find the Jupiter and Saturn horses. So the Aquarius horses are the horses born between 120 and 220, and then that would be Epicenter number 3, who's one of our contenders. So Epicenter is a primary contender. Number 5, Smile Happy, is a Jupiter horse born on the first day of the Sun in Pisces on 220. Other Pisces are the 11, the 13, 14, of course the 15, the 16 is one, the 19, and that's it. As far as Saturn goes, the only other Saturn horse in the race was Ethereal Road, and I don't have him as a contender to win. So of the horses that we had listed that we liked with the conventional handicapping, only 3, Epicenter, 5, Smile Happy, and 15, White Abarrio, fit this bill. So there again, White Abarrio, born in the Jupiter sign and also with the Jupiter Sun aspect. So for a long shot again, White Abarrio, good long shot. Legitimate win contender number 3, Epicenter number 5, Smile Happy, potential long shot. One more thing I'm going to show you. Okay, this is our Excel Astro research sheet called the Transitonatal. We look for various alignments, and here is the list of the horses. And in column FO and FP are the sun and moon, the natal sun and moon of the horse. And you can see here's post 1 down to post 20. So you can see that number 2, number 3 is our Saturn horse, Epicenter, with the Saturn sun, and he's got the Jupiter moon, which is a kind of a nice factor because Jupiter is also strong here with Jupiter in Pisces. So we've got the Saturn Jupiter thing going there. Number 5 has a Mercury moon. Now I don't have a lot of KP info for this race, and our key signature is missing, but the KP quick handicap rulership factor I look at with sublords pointed me to Mercury, and the only Mercury in the top in this field here of 20, the only Mercury factor is on the 5 horse Smile Happy. So he's got the Jupiter Sun and the Mercury moon. That reinforces him a bit. And then we have Saturn horse here. I missed him prior to mention him in the last segment, but number 9, Tis the Bomb, is a Saturn horse with a Saturn moon. He is a key long shot. And then, of course, you have White Abarrio, number 15, who is a Jupiter. Right here, White Abarrio is a Jupiter Sun horse and a Sun moon. So the Sun, it was not a strong factor here, but he has strong factors. So looking at this race, I gave you the primary win contention. The Astro picks up on number 3, 5, throws 15 in as a long shot. My underneath long shots would be number 19, Zozos. And I would also use Tis the Bomb as a key long shot. So my top two long shots would be the 9 and the 19. To spread a little bit wider, I would also include number 13, Simplification, number 17, Classic Causeway. So I'm going to leave that here. We're going on 26 minutes. So there's our rundown for the Derby. You've got our conventional factors. You've got the inside look at the Astro that's in play.